All right, shows us live on YouTube. I've got the check mark on Facebook, so I think we're live on both. I'm going to check here on my end and give it just a second to start showing up. So funny. Mess. Okay, I'm sharing it in one other place. For those of you as you're hopping on here, I know that you can probably see me and hear me, but you know I love flattery and compliments. So hop on, let us know you're with us so we can recognize you as well, and also tell people how they can use our comment feature. So I'm almost there, Rich. Awesome. I'm getting quicker at this, I promise. Okay, it looks like we've got a couple of folks on here. I'll go ahead and get us started. Good morning and happy Tuesday to everybody. I'm Juliette Abdel, President and CEO of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce, and I'm pleased to continue to host our live broadcasts on a daily basis for you. These are available in the video section of the Facebook page. They're also available on our YouTube channel, Westminster Chamber of Commerce, and they date all the way back into March. So if you're interested in catching up, catching content that you may have missed, that's available to you at any point in time. It's also available on our COVID resource hub. That's westminsterchamber.biz/COVID-19-update. That's all in one breath, and I've done it a couple of times. If you're not already connected with us on Facebook, please make sure that you hit that like button, hit the follow so you can get those alerts, and whether it's accidentally dropping in or intentionally stopping by to capture some of what we're sharing, tune into our broadcast, share them with other people that might find them beneficial, and really absorb some of the content that we provide to you in a 30-minute window so that you can move forward with your day. We're on Instagram and on Twitter at Westy Chamber, so we tweet and we go on Insta quite often, and we hope you do as well and can join us on that platform. So a lot of you have also started tuning in and begun to comment on here. I don't want to lose sight. We've got several board members, Wayne Anderson, our board chair, Brian Dice, our past chair, Brian Head. I also see a Rich Seymour. So there is two Rich Seymours, and I have to take a breath when I saw that, because it's just that, how does that even happen? We'll have to address that here in a minute. But most of you have already seen some of these comments. I see a good morning message. Thank you, Brian Head. Another one from Brian Dice. This is a function that's available to you in the comment section of this broadcast. If you're not already familiar, be sure that you type in a comment or question along the way. So as our speaker is visiting with us and sharing some information, we want you to type in any of the information that you might find valuable, any questions that it raised for you, or things that you found to be key takeaways. Now, I mentioned that there's another Rich that's on here. My guess is as good as yours, Brian. There is a flat Rich that's making sure that he's tuned in, that he's commenting and engaging with us. So I will go ahead and kick off today's broadcast. As you're aware, for the last week and a half, we've been featuring our Business Success Series. This is designed to educate you, the viewer, on what our businesses are doing during this time, how they've been able to adapt and overcome and potentially thrive during this time of uncertainty. But more importantly, it's a way for you to understand the measures that they've put in place for the well-being of their employees, of their customers, and even their vendors that they interface with. So you're at ease and have that peace of mind should you choose to do business with them. And of course, we like to tell you to put your money where your mouth is, or in our case, where your heart is, and shop, support all of our local businesses. With that being said, I want to go ahead and introduce today's topic, and this is with a partner of ours since our inception. That's Seymour Farmers Insurance Agency. I think I may have flipped those around, but for those of you that are aware, Counselor Seymour, or Rich Seymour, actually runs that agency. It's located, I want to say, about 100th and Watts is the nearest intersection for you to find it. But Counselor Seymour, who I'm going to refer to as Rich, just because I've known him for so long, but Rich and I have had the pleasure of working together through Chamberlains. He's been a founding board member prior to him being elected into City Council. He's very dedicated to our small small business community and has been our #1 supporter along the way, especially during this time. So I'm excited to have him with me on here. He's going to take it away, or else I'll take over this broadcast and share his success, some feedback and thoughts, but make sure that you are engaging with us. We want comments, we want questions.
Thanks, Juliet. Appreciate the opportunity, and thanks again to the Chamber and to you making these broadcasts available. The diligence you've shown, you're your own producer, camera person, everything else. So I appreciate what this done. I know it's on my calendar every day. Sometimes I get signed in on time. Sometimes I drop in, have to watch later and hashtag rewind on that and replay. So I always try to go back to that because I want to hear what, especially the new nonprofit section on that's been very valuable. Some of those members of our community have been an integral part of what the Chamber has done since its founding too. So that's important. But from a business standpoint and how COVID had affected us, it was interesting because my wife and I were out of town when the shelter-in-place order hit, and luckily, well, not luckily, I have great staff people here at the agency, and they called up and said, "We're out of here. We're grabbing equipment. What should we take?" Luckily, we had backup equipment. We had a bit of an emergency plan, mostly for snow days or sick days or kid sick days. With our voice over internet phone system, we had bags with cables in them and connections, and so they could take those home and plug them in. So that first part was chaotic here. It's easy for me to say because I was sitting by a pool in Scottsdale, but they handled it professionally, and we're back online that very next day. And then, like many other businesses that hit on that, then it was technology adaptation at that point. The biggest issue that we ran into is as people, the entire country ran out to their neighborhoods to connect to their internet, there was pipeline issues. So it takes a little extra bandwidth to run the phone systems and the computers, and then if you're at home with 2 other people that are also at home and you have this massive office set up in there, the internets were just not ready for that. So we did have some connectivity issues. On the other hand, we had a hybrid option that we ran at first because financial services, insurance, banking, investment was considered an essential business. So I was in the office every day through this, so it gave us a closer hardwire situation that we could have. And then it was a matter of, on a daily basis, we did a lot of texting, we did FaceTime. At that time, we weren't set up for remote cameras for everyone, so then it was a matter of trying to find remote cameras, and I know other businesses were dealing with this. All of a sudden, every cable, every camera, every extra computer was gone from the shelves, and order times were waiting, and so we had to adapt to that, and staff found out it's great to have your laptop at home to do some work in the evening, but it doesn't work to run a business on that. So we were able to get a hold of, we had backup screens here, and we set up dual monitor displays because we all run 2 or 3 monitors here at a time, and you get spoiled by that. So we were able to get that taken care of. The internet connectivity got better. Companies adapted to that and cranked up speeds in neighborhoods. And so that made a real difference there. The key was, for our clients, it was seamless. Once they started calling, and it was eerily quiet the first couple weeks as everyone themselves tried to figure out where they were at, where their family was at, how this was going to affect them, and then getting ready to adapt to a new schooling model for those with kids at home. And so both my staff people had kids at home. So after the first 2 weeks, our phones rang off the hook. And so that was the biggest biggest surprise to me is that how quiet it got immediately, and a couple weeks after that, the phone volume. So I don't know if you missed me. My side was spinning there for a minute, but uh, yeah. So our call volume jumped dramatically. It's something that we track. We get an update. All of us get an update on inbound calling, outbound calling, length of time, all of that. So that next month um, ended up being one of our best months in a good year. We were already having a good year, and then we had a significant jump because we had the opportunity. Uh, our customers had the time to chat with us, and we had some great, deep conversations with many people that, although we reach out to them systematically all the time, they were sitting at home and they had an opportunity to chat with us. So that was an advantage. We connected with clients that we don't always have an opportunity to because they had the opportunity. And then the inbound connections that we made through all the outreach that we do paid off in a big way. And so uh, it's been an incredible curve when we opened the office to have staff back in here. It was seamless. If you one of the staff, if you're trying to teach and have two other people in your home trying to do some work, and you've got a 4 and a 5 year old, you want to come back to the office. It's please let me come back to the office. So that worked out well. And we changed our model. We're a retail location, Westbrook Shopping Center, as Juliet said, just off 100th and Wadsworth. And so we get a fair amount of people just coming in to chat with us and do business. We're highly visible in the neighborhood. And we changed that to a by appointment model so that we could manage that, and we could manage schedules that way too. So now moving forward, we've had some great lessons learned. Um, we found that in some cases and on some days, it's better to have people stay at home. They can be more productive. There's less distractions, and so we're staying on a hybrid system. The other side of that, though, is uh, trying to get people to take time off. Um, I have dedicated staff here. My primary producer, Monica, as many people know because she's been involved in the chamber now for several years, is a workaholic. And so it's a matter of saying, okay, yeah, enough's enough. You can work here, you can work at home, but you cannot work 24 hours a day. You cannot work 7 days a week, and you need to walk away. And so I think it's a matter of leading by example. And so it was a matter of me saying, hey, I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to take a day here. I'm going to take a day down. Now I'm going to take 4 days. When are your 4 days? Please get them on the calendar right now. So that's where we're at moving forward. As an industry, I think there's going to be some dramatic changes moving forward. The industry, especially auto insurance, which is one of our primary drivers, no pun intended, is that most of your preferred companies were giving discounts for not driving at that time. But I see, and what I hear from our clients and what I read in the trade magazines is that there had been a big push for telematics, which is a great word for saying we're going to track your movements while you're driving, and then we're going to charge you accordingly. And that's one thing. The insurance industry has always been based on large numbers, what is actuarially sound, but we group all the drivers in this zip code and 2 other zip codes and say, okay, this is going to be your blended rate. The public wants to pay for what they do or what they don't do. And so you'll see this more and more in the future, is that unless you use some type of telematics to say how you're driving, you're going to pay that general blended rate. And it's a matter of hey, I'm a great driver. Well, here's a way to prove it, and here's a way to get a much better rate. uh, it is pay as you go, but companies have tried it, and now we have the technology, and most people have the phones that they can do. Some people never want to be tracked. I tell that that's where the industry is going, and I think people will be more accepting of that. Is if they're still at home and they're not commuting, then they're going to get a better insurance rate because the telematics will tell us that. So that's kind of where we were, what happened in the middle, and where I see the industry going right now.
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt you. You were a little bit slower on my end. I could hear you fine on the Facebook side, so I think because over here that you were slightly slower. So I just wanted to make sure you were done before I filter it in. I see Parker Brown. Hello, Michael, and I see Emilio Robin. Thank you for hopping on here with us, Lance. We've got several comments, and then I'm interested in a couple of things that you personally said, so I'll be sure that I pepper them through with questions. For those of you that are just now hopping on here with us, we have Rich Seymour, who's also Counselor Seymour here in the city of Westminster. He has been a past board member of our chamber, a longtime member and founding member of our organization. And during COVID has been one of the few to also have the lens and really wear the hat of being a business owner and living through all the phases as they were unfolding, and the guidelines and the level of fear and now hopefully the level of security is starting to unfold. But I do want to acknowledge a few of the comments that we have. One is from Lance. Lance is out in Florida, and so just for everyone that's kind of viewing, we always have people that have been watching from outside of our state. We have several that we pride ourselves on that are even internationally tuning in with us. Lance is no different. He's in Florida. Hopefully he is staying safe as their numbers have been a little bit higher than some of the surrounding states. And yes, the mountains do miss a lot of our visitors. So hopefully you can get up this way once things have cleared a little bit through. Now, Brian decided to write an essay for us. I'll make sure that I try and summarize it as quickly as possible. What he was trying to share was, it's very instrumental that we relied on business leaders across the city of Westminster when we were looking to get the chamber started. A lot of volunteer hours were put in at the beginning, not begullying. And Rich was not only a leader, but he also helped to serve as a mentor and someone who was the voice of reason in the boardroom. I know he was in the boardroom and was a key decision maker in me being here today. So I'm thankful for his leadership throughout the history of the organization, but especially as it obviously pertains to me selfishly. So Parker also shared a good morning to Rich and myself. Thank you for tuning in, Parker. I know it's a busier time for you since you're getting near to the lunch hour as well. So this question, it looks like it comes from Brian Dice, our board chair. And Brian also shared, it looks like there's 2 Juliets. I'm not sure why it's showing you that there's more than the initial one that I tuned into, but there's no flat Juliet here. So it just might be the other version of myself. So who knows? So Brian is asking, and this is relating to COVID. So we touched earlier on, once the stay-at-home started, you really saw the complete silence from your customer base. And then there was that exponential growth in phone calls that happened. He's asking, have there been, of those that have been a reduction in insurance premium, is that because of a lower risk with more people at home, or are insurance companies trying to help people out financially?
Company by company, you can see, it depends on how the discounts were rolled out. There were some companies like our company, Farmers, that rolled out discounts almost immediately, and that was not based on any data. That was, we knew, you could look out your window and see no one was driving, but there's a time lag on those things in the insurance industry. The quick response and the cut itself and how we dealt with that, I have to give our corporate leaders a great credit on that one, because they announced that very quickly. Of course, caught all of our programming computer people completely off guard, because they said, how the heck are we going to be able to do that right away? But they made that determination very early on. And so, and then it was company by company. it was auto accidents went down to almost nothing, and so that is a component, not the biggest component of auto insurance, but um, it did make a difference, and I think it will make a difference. Right now, companies are trying to figure out where they're at. We've seen an uptick now in driving, and unfortunately, if you were out and about during those times, it was awesome because you could get everywhere without. We'll see. I think 6 months from now, we'll see how that effect is and if it affected people's driving habits.
Excellent, thank you. And I think you're spot on with that, Rich. Very early on, it was a relief and to support the customer base. And we saw that when a lot of insurance agencies decided to put money into their communities. I know Country did that with us, and I'm sure you did as well with some local surrounding nonprofits, just to make sure that the viability was still there and that their operations continued as best as they could. I see Frank Lewis Jr., thank you for hopping on, Christine Wares, Amy Wilcox, Chandra, and Randy, Lynn, unrelated but same last name. Thank you for tuning in with us. Now, Rich, you shared that you've transitioned instead of the walk-in traffic to by appointment, which a lot of us have done that. In fact, we changed on our website where it says by appointment only. It only has our PO box and gives them the phone number and the email because we want to plan out where we're meeting people. And what we've actually been doing is meet people if they want to in person at businesses to try and support those businesses during this time. That being said, as people are coming to your place of business, how are you maintaining the level of safety? Do you have signage that's up? Are you sanitizing? What does that look like?
Well, it's best laid plans. We have appointment now, and that's what we put out there. But since our office is so high profile, people, it's just a habit. I'm at King Soopers. I'm next door at the restaurant. I'm getting my hair done. Whatever the services are in our local strip centers here, and people go, "Oh, I got to stop by and stop at the office." And so the volume has been lower. On the other side, we are adhering to the orders in place that are pertinent for the state and Jefferson County Health. And we are asking our visitors to wear a mask. And so also keeping in mind that the city of Westminster has opt-outs for people with health conditions that do not allow them to wear a mask. We trust people to also in their best interests, and we do not have any vulnerable people working here. So that's the issue. And so we could get into the data and we can get into all those things, but that would take another 2 hours to have that discussion. So yeah, we provide masks if someone doesn't have it. We have hand sanitizers. Yeah, and so we had a clean office beforehand. We have a clean office now. Yeah, we always work to have a nice, clean environment for people pre and post. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And one of the things that, oh my gosh, I have to share this before I start asking you a question. You're lucky because you've got some humor that's invested into this comment section. You're the only board member apparently that's been shot with a taser so far with the PD. So I'm thinking he's volunteering to be the second former board person that is. So Brian, go ahead and get signed up. And you don't need to go to PD. I'm happy to shoot you with whatever I have access to. Awesome. So I do have a question. This relates to the telematics. So you were sharing that this will likely be something into the future. The idea is that your amount of usage is what you pay into insurance. What is the formula for the hybrid for people that choose to opt out of the tracking? Because the idea of tracking for a reduction in your insurance isn't new. I mean, we've had those types of trackers that people could use, and it gauges and it gives the information back to the insurance provider, who then in turn might lower your bill for you. But this is a different concept entirely, as the base of what they're paying relies on this technology that's there. That being said, there is going to be people that are apprehensive about having their every move tracked. are you aware of what that formula is for that hybrid that they would be paying into?
Not the deep dive into the numbers itself. What will happen is, like many other industries, you condition people by pricing to make a selection over time. It's no different than walking into a grocery store and saying, okay, do you want this generic, or do you want this step up and it's only 2 cents more, or do you want to go to the Cadillac and, oh, it's only 5 cents more? So it'll be a conditioning in pricing, and eventually, it's not right now, it's not, well, it can be significant for the right families with especially young drivers.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you still?
No, that was just a time lag there. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay, good. Good. So how can people, and this is a question that we always ask all of our small businesses, and that's, how can people support you in your line of work? Naturally, you're a little bit different than my retail and restaurant, my hospitality and event venues. You're not as necessarily impacted as they have been as a result of those restrictions or the lack of foot traffic and things like that. But is there a way that we can rally behind something that your agency or your industry is doing to support the community? And I'm not talking about going out there and waving my hand at 6 a.m. in the morning with you. I will not commit to that. But is there a project that's larger than that that's out there?
Our business has been built on referrals. We're in a retail space because it makes it easier for people to drive up and to find us, and it helps with that. Is it the question in business? Is it better to know something or to be known? We base that on it's better to be known, and so that has been the foundation of how this agency was built. Is being in front of people all the time, and then being a trusted source. But along with that too is that we believe in a commitment to our community, and that's through commitment to nonprofits, supporting Growing Home specifically in some of the events that we do, partnering with them, and then also our partnership with business groups, and then school district foundations, Jefferson County Public Schools Foundations, Adams 12 Foundation, and then Westminster Public Schools, who we had on Lauren along last week too. Is that by supporting us, that we support our community, not just with it's a three-phase. We support our community with our time, with our talent, and with our treasure. So that's how we complete that circle. So
excellent. You're not going to get away from that comment that Brian made earlier. So explain to me the taser story, because this happened before I showed up to the job. So I'd like to know what that looked like.
Well, I'm certain that Brian wanted to throw that out there, but no, Westminster Police Department runs a Westminster Citizens Police Academy. It is an outstanding way to learn about what our police officers do day to day, and as soon as they get back in person, they're going to start it back up again. But one of the portions is you can volunteer to be tasered, and so yeah, a lot of people do it, and it makes for funny YouTube videos. So yeah, thanks, Brian. I owe you another one.
So he does have a more serious question. This relates to your insurance industry now having to shift from the working in an office space or retail storefront to working from home. I know you shared that your team is really back in the office now, so you're not operating at that hybrid anymore. But for those that may have continued to do so, or even if you spend a percentage of your time at home versus being in the office, how do you think the industry will look into the future with the usage of their office space? Is there a trend that you're seeing of more offices not use their spaces, and the likelihood of them keeping more remote workforce hires?
I think it's a little too early for a trend. For those of you who follow the tech industry, that moved mostly because of explosive growth in the late 90s. They couldn't find enough office space, so and then being in the tech business, they could send people home. What they found over time is that when they sent people home, and I think we saw some of this for people who didn't have to teach at the same time, we saw an uptick in productivity. But then also over time that you lose that. Whenever you change anything, even the lighting or the way the furniture is arranged in an office, you get a productivity boost. What we are going to see long term is office space is empty for a while, but then as productivity declines, as they did in the tech industry, they're going to say, nope, we need to build bigger campuses. We need to get people back together. We are humans. We need that interaction. We need that being there, even if we're standing 6.6. I froze. I think we had a tech glitch there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I see people
Yes,
going back
no,
to
we
the
did.
offices eventually.
Excellent. Chantel, thank you so much for hopping on here with us. We are rounding out our 30 minutes. For those of you that have just hopped on, we have with us Rich Seymour. Rich has a farmers insurance agency that's located on 100th and Wadsworth that's been serving our community for several years. He's been active in numerous groups, our police organizations such as the Citizens Academy, to also include the Rotary Club, and of course, a founding board member, past board member, and existing member of the Chamber of Commerce. He shared kind of how they've weathered COVID, what they initially did to transition their workforce, transition their customer base, how they've started to return to somewhat of a normalcy, what we might see in the insurance industry as it relates to us being consumers, and how we would essentially be paying into the premiums and the makeup of that. Be sure that you rewind the video and watch it through. Give us that hashtag replay. If you thought of a comment or question later on that you didn't get a chance to ask us, or you had something that you wanted Rich to be aware of, type it in. Him and I both regularly are checking the comments, him more so, I know. But we'd like to know what you found as more important from your end. And then if you're aware of somebody in a similar industry that might be experiencing difficulty with the transitions of COVID, be sure that you share this information with them so that they're aware of, what have been some success stories along the way. We'll be back here again 11 a.m. tomorrow for our broadcast. And Rich mentioned the nonprofit corner that we have. We do host that every Thursday. So we'll be back also on Thursday with the Romito Foundation then at 11 a.m. Great organization and their work. So I encourage you guys to keep tuning in with us. Make sure that you comment, like the heck out of everything that we produce, and give us some shout outs. So Rich knows that he did a fantastic job, not just by sharing his flat rates earlier on. That being said, I appreciate you taking part of your morning to spend it with us. And I also appreciate you, Rich, for spending the morning with me, just kind of having this back and forth banter that was there, and sharing some of your experience along the way. Again, I say you're uniquely in that position because you had to weather COVID as you were making those decisions for our business community. So it's been an interesting dichotomy for you. I'm glad some people have seen what that's looked like. Stay with me as I close this out. I appreciate everybody and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.